Hey folks, Rebecca back for the big 5-0 episode of the Quintuple M, the Monday Mr. Money Mustache Motivation. Today's article is from September 8th, 2011, titled My $750 Bread Making Machine. We'll jump right in here. Some consumer products become the butt of many jokes because they are often bought in a fit of good intentions but then discarded almost immediately. Treadmills and exercise bikes are in this category, as are juice extractors and bread machines. So you can understand the hesitation I felt 3 years ago when the temptation to own a bread machine of my own started growing within me. The justification in my mind was that we were eating a lot of bread at the time, and hey, who doesn't like fresh bread? So I let the idea sit and rise for a while, and meanwhile the missus and I went over to dinner at the home of some friends one night. These friends are a sophisticated and frugal couple from Holland who had just moved to the United States. They served us an exotic, spicy vegetarian meal that was insanely delicious with a slice of steaming, seed-encrusted, fresh-baked bread on the side. Damn, my wife and I said, we need to start eating more like you two. The table immediately broke into two discussions. The ladies debated the merits of various vegetarian recipes, and the men went to the garage to learn about this whole bread machine deal. What I learned is that a bread machine is not necessarily a failed consumer product to be scoffed at. In the right hands, it's an instrument of supreme frugal gourmetitude. You just throw in some flour and a few other things, explained my European friend, and you have a great loaf of bread in just a few hours. Since you eat the bread each day, you're forced to make more several times per week. There's no chance of not using the machine regularly, so I don't understand why these machines are often abandoned in the United States. I love how Dutch people explain things, by the way. It is as if in their country, logic and reason are actually practiced by a majority of the population. When you add the cool accent, you have a very persuasive group of people. With this new endorsement from a logical person, I had a peek on Craigslist. Sure enough, there were dozens of almost new bread machines out there. I was able to find one right in my own town at a price of $10. The original value of this particular machine was around $100. True story, guys. You can look at any Goodwill, any secondhand store, Craigslist, you'll find bread machines. 3 years into ownership, I must say that this machine is still a huge hit. First of all, the cost savings are significant. To buy a good quality loaf of whole wheat bread in the grocery store costs about $2.50. To put in flour, yeast, olive oil, water, salt, and sugar cost me about 50 cents to get an equivalent sized loaf of bread with flour purchased in 50-pound bags from Costco. The time investment is also minuscule. Without any special preparation, I timed myself in measuring the ingredients into a machine and pressing start. Last time I made bread, 90 seconds. If you factor in the time needed to walk to the bread section of your store, pick out loaves during regular grocery shopping, the net time cost might even be zero. Plus, I prevent a plastic bag from being manufactured as well. So, I've been saving $2 per loaf, 2 loaves per week, for almost 3 years. That's $600 in bread money that is now a part of the stash. Plus, the bread is much more delicious, and you can even get crazy and make fancy bread. At various times, I have made more decadent types, such as my beer, cheese, bacon, and olive bread. That stuff is badass. You can throw in flax seeds, sesame seeds, even random crickets and ants from your backyard if you really want to get international/African with your recipes. Olive ant bread could be quite interesting. But wait, there's an even more exciting contribution this $10 machine has made to my life. It has completely eliminated the temptation to order pizza. Nowadays, I make the pizza dough in the machine and roll it out into enormous thin crust sheets, which I bury in gourmet ingredients. This is just ridiculously delicious. I also make a little personal 8-inch pizza crust by the dozen and freeze them. These are whipped out every afternoon and made into near instant pizzas as lunch or after school snacks for my son. If you have a party at your house where pizza is in demand, you roll out some big fancy crusts and let the guests create their own edible works of art. It is a highly sociable alternative to ordering pizza that improves upon the experience in every way. It's hard to imagine how much cash this machine has saved me. At a minimum, it would be $600 in bread, plus a random allocation of $150 for pizza savings, $750. Now, more realistically, we used to order pizza at least once a month, about $20, including tax, tip, and delivery. Nowadays, the raw ingredients cost $6 for a giant pizza. 3 years times 12 pizzas times $14 in savings per pizza is actually $504 worth of pizza, making this machine worth a total of over $1,000 so far. Regardless of the actual numbers, I am a happy mustachian. When it boils down to it, a bread maker is just another motorized consumer product that a true minimalist would scoff at. But in my own odd life, which combines both frugality and decadence, I have found this device to be quite a worthy contributor to the family. If you eat bread and/or pizza regularly, I can safely recommend having a peek at your local Craigslist if you want to dip a toe into the bread making world as well. Bonus epilogue section. This article ended up gathering an unexpected number of views and comments. I figured I should update it with the following useful tips to make it more useful. Once you get your machine, you will be excited to try it out right away, as I was. I walked into my standard grocery store, Safeway or Kroger, and I picked up some whole wheat flour and bread baking yeast. But when I did the math on the per loaf cost, I was spending almost as much as the commercial bread. Why was this? It's because those ingredients vary widely in price. In the grocery store, they try to sell tiny 4-ounce jars of bread making yeast for $5.29 or so. In Costco/Sam's Club, you can get a 32-ounce double bag for this price, maybe even less. Similarly, my local Safeway grocery store likes to display boutique-y looking 3 to 5 pound whole wheat flour and small bags for $5. While Sam's Club was selling 50-pound bags of whole wheat for $15 or so when I last visited. Even Kroger, known in Colorado as King Soopers, sometimes has their store brand whole wheat flour for just $1.79 per 5-pound bag. Since this ingredient can be stored forever, just stock up to infinity when you see it at this price. The other ingredients, sugar, salt, oil, assorted seeds and grains, are fairly low cost at any store, but Costco still rules. And, update almost 2 years later, although Mrs. Money Mustache and I no longer eat wheat bread these days, she became gluten intolerant and we both moved to more of a Mark's Daily Apple style of low carb eating. This bread machine still gets used regularly. My son still requires fresh made Dad's pizza, and we make the odd loaf of gluten-free bread whenever we need the magical weight gaining properties that bread seems to provide for us. Therein lies the trouble with bread machines for this family. I think there's a different article where Mr. Money Mustache refers to bread as weight gain slices. So true. Also, if and when you get a bread maker and start using it, the bread really is so much better than what you can get in the store. You'll find that you're eating more of it. So yeah, you kind of have to keep an eye on your weight if you choose to get a bread machine. And for us, my husband and I, we did actually buy a bread machine. He picked one that he wanted off of Amazon, super fancy one with all the bells and whistles and different settings on it, and it was about $120. You do not have to spend that much money to get a bread machine. Like I say, you can find them probably new in any number of places, secondhand stores, Craigslist. People get them as wedding gifts all the time and then never open them up and use them, so they end up at Goodwill and Craigslist. So you can get a bread machine on the cheap. But the trouble with getting the bread machine is you eat more of it and risk weight gain. Also, in our case, we actually were gifted a starter for sourdough bread it's an heirloom starter. It's over 20 years old, the starter for bread. And the thing is, we prefer the sourdough bread over the bread that we make in the bread machine. And when we make sourdough, we actually don't use the bread machine at all. We just bake it in the oven. So now this expensive bread machine that we bought brand new rarely, if ever, gets used anymore because we prefer to make sourdough bread. So if you're going to invest in a bread machine, my recommendation would be to find a really cheap one, learn how to use it, and see if you're actually going to use it on the regular. And if and when that bread machine ever breaks, then maybe you can upgrade to a fancier one. Also, like Mr. Money Mustache mentioned at the end there, Even if you're gluten intolerant, you can make gluten-free bread in a bread machine. There's a lot of recipes out there to do that, so that's something to consider. And also the fact that you can use it for other things besides just making bread, like Mr. Money Mustache uses it for pizza dough. So something else to consider there. All in all, a bread machine can be a good investment, and it can save you a ton of money. If you're a family that eats a lot of bread, if you've got kids that are making sandwiches all the time, maybe getting a bread machine is the way to go, because it would save you a whole lot if you didn't have to buy multiple loaves of bread at the store every week. So yeah, something to consider. Another money saving point brought up by Mr. Money Mustache. So thanks y'all for watching. I will see y'all next Monday for the next episode of the Quintuple M. Bye.